Hi, this is Graphically Alex coming at you with all things fat related. If that's something that interests you, please subscribe. I'd love to have you. So, today we're going to go ahead and answer this question, which is interesting. Why do you like being obese? What benefit do you get from being this big? This person does talk about the answer. I haven't watched the whole thing, but I started watching it and I was interested. So this one, it's a little bit on the longer side. It's like 2 minutes and 30 seconds. We're going to play the whole thing and then we'll take it back and react piece by piece.
Probably didn't mean this question genuinely. I know you probably didn't mean this question genuinely, but I'm autistic and don't really care to try and figure out people's ulterior motives, so you get a genuine answer. My first instinct was to explain or try to explain fat phobia to you, tell you how 90% or more of long term weight loss attempts fail, and tell you how I personally have been treated by the medical system in the United States. Um, Truthfully, though, that's not about what I get out of it. That's because my first instinct was to say I get nothing out of it. But that was the self loathing of diet culture and a past me that thought I got nothing out of it. I know you'll probably not believe me, but I get so much out of being fat. I am taking more care of my body at this point in my life than I ever have before. And accepting and embracing my fatness allows for that. When the point stopped being how do I fit into society standards of what health and beauty are, and it became what can I do to create and meet my own definitions of health and beauty, it changed everything for me. Because health and beauty are such incredibly subjective words. There is not just a single way to have a body and take care of it perfectly. There just isn't. There's so much more to it. Genetics, life circumstances, disability. Like, those are just three. I am not healthy by most people's standards just because I'm chronically ill, but I can be healthy by my own standards for my body. I do what I can to keep my body in a state that is attainable for me. I might make another more in depth video about that. We'll see. But what really matters is that I get happiness and love from myself, from others, and letting go of diet culture and accepting myself for where I am and who I am, and instead choosing to take care of myself in ways that work for me. It allowed me to shed so much trauma and get rid of so much emotional stress I was carrying constantly. I may deal with more bullshit from fat phobes now that I do fat liberation work, but I don't deal with it from myself and my family and the people close to me. I am finally at peace with myself, and that's beautiful. And you could feel this way too. As the lovely seasonal song says, war is over if you want it. I know you probably didn't mean.
Okay. So, it's interesting because she really did not answer the question at all. I'm just going to say she. Sorry if that offends anybody, I guess. Um, she didn't say anything. She didn't answer anything. She just was saying, I I'm okay with being in fat acceptance because it does these things for me. That's interesting to me because in reality there was no benefit at all. I want to say too, this is an old video. This is from 2022, but I was looking at TikTok, like just in general, like scrolling, and it was taking me to a lot of past videos and stuff, and I just started saving things. So that's why it's older. But I still think that the idea matters, even if this person's perspective may have changed from that point till now or not. I just think that the idea that that was an answer is interesting. I think it's interesting to look back at it in retrospect as well, because you can really see how there was never any substance to it at all. Not even then, not when it was stronger, there was still nothing. Let's go ahead and listen to this completely
In this
again,
question
or let's react to it completely. I mean,
genuinely, but I'm autistic and don't really care to try and figure out people's ulterior motives, so you get a genuine answer. My first instinct was to explain or try to explain fat phobia to you, tell you how 90% or more of long term
tell you that it's a way that I'm coping. That's basically saying that that's a cope.
weight loss attempts fail, and tell you how I personally have been treated by the medical system in the United States.
Yeah, which is interesting because that's not an answer to what you like about it. I think that it's really important to always remember, and I keep telling you guys this over and over again, they do not want to be happy. Why? Because if you're at peace, if you're genuinely at peace, then you don't have a drive to engage with the DIS order. This is somebody I think probably more than likely has binge going on. And so when you're in that state, you don't want to be at peace. Not really. You'll talk about it, you'll lie about it even, but you don't actually want it. If somebody asks you a question about what do you like about something and you immediately jump to a way that you're coping with it or a way that you are mistreated because of it, that shows that that connection in the brain is a little too strong. It's very, very strong. This person probably does that with a lot of stuff. A lot of stuff. So her brain is hardwired to be upset, even if she's asked about what she likes.
Truthfully, though, that's not about what I get out of it. That's because my first instinct was to say I get nothing out of it.
Well, I think that's also because that's the truth. That's probably why. And if you say I get nothing out of it, that's a neutral statement. It's just a statement of fact. Because saying I get nothing means I don't get anything good or bad necessarily. It's just I get nothing out of it. It's something I do because I simply want to. I want to be this big, so I am, basically, is what that statement is.
But that was the self loathing of diet culture and a past me that thought I got nothing out of it.
So remember that a lot of times when they use diet culture, they're talking about E fall by letter D with the false perception that they've escaped it, even though they're just even deeper. To be honest, it's actually even worse.
I know you'll probably not believe me, but I get so much out of being fat.
But you say nothing.
I am taking more care of my body at this point in my life than I ever have before.
What does that have to do with being fat?
And accepting and embracing my fatness allows for that.
You could say that that's what fat acceptance does for you on a mental level. Not looking at things just for weight is putting me in a mental state to where I can still try and attempt to take care of myself. That's something you could say, but that's not something that being obese is actually doing for you at all. If anything, it's holding you back further, making it harder to take care of yourself, making things more difficult. It's not giving you a way to care for yourself. unless if you do like having to do so much to live as a super morbidly obese person, which that could also be a subconscious drive. What if I didn't have to take care of this all the time? What would I do with my time? What would I do with that energy? That's scary. That sounds scary. You see? But that's not something that people necessarily all the time will just put out there, with the exception of the fab fatties. They would say things that were so deep down the toxic ritualistic rabbit hole that kind of shocked me, because they would put it all on blast. That's why I covered them so much. I like to say that I had a hand in that podcast basically ending. So, but yeah, it was bad. That was like the only time I'd seen it that blatant, though. So if you haven't seen those videos on my channel, please check them out, because they really had it on display. But, you know, when we're looking at the facts at hand, the facts are being super morbidly obese make it much more difficult to take care of yourself.
When the point
Or
stopped
makes, sorry.
being how do I fit into society standards of what health and beauty are, and it became what can I do to create and meet my own definitions of health and beauty, it changed everything for me.
So I also see a conflation of health and beauty. I've done my best on my channel to separate the two issues, the two things, because we're often taught that they really go hand in hand, but there are times in which they don't. For example, I've talked about it a lot. When you are super morbidly obese, you do get attention. You can get attention from a certain demographic of men that are interested in you at that size. As you start to downsize, you become less attractive on a societal level. From a super morbidly obese perspective, you get to that mid-fat zone, the invisibility zone of fatness, and you're less attractive, and people can perceive this. So you try to lose, and then you perceive that you're being treated worse, and people don't understand, because we're so commonly told that health and beauty go together, but they don't always go together, because sometimes the pursuit of beauty can be unhealthy. Beauty in general, there are common trends. I do think that, you know, there's something there. I don't think beauty is completely subjective, but I do think that it's an ideal. It's something that can show up in many different ways. It's similar to the ideal of being a good person. Being a good person can mean a lot of different things, but I wouldn't say it's subjective necessarily. I would say it can show up in a lot of different ways. Same thing with beauty. It's not really subjective or objective, in my opinion. That's just like a philosophical concept that I believe in. I think it's beyond subjectivity and objectivity. It's like a different category, which I can't remember which Greek philosopher said that, but I think it might have been Plato. If I flopped, then I flopped. I'm sorry. But it was somebody like that said that, and that always resonated with me. And that's why I've always viewed beauty as something that you can strive for, but not get too caught up in the weeds with, because beauty can show up in a lot of different ways. So, yeah. Point is, she's not able to separate it at all. And that can be a lot, because then you can conflate vanity with health. And on the list of priorities and on the list of things that matter, health is more important than vanity. People can get dangerous surgeries, for example, to try to look a certain way. For example, there's a lot of risks with the BBL. Okay? So they don't always go hand in hand, and I think it's important to always prioritize health above vanity.
Because health and beauty are such incredibly subjective words.
No, they're both idealistic words. So again, health can show up in many different ways. It's neither objective nor subjective, it's idealistic. That's at least how I see it. So again, health can show up in many different ways, but we all can kind of perceive of it. If you say it, you know it. It's something we all kind of collectively understand. So it's not completely subjective. That's just not true. I mean, even within health in general, we do have objective measures. Health can actually be objectively categorized, and it has been within the medical industry, I guess you could say, or the medical system. There are normal ranges of things, there, including weight. So that actually is a bit more objective than beauty, but health is also kind of on a higher level where it's something you can strive for. It's an ideal. Nobody's perfect, but we can all strive towards it, and there's nothing wrong with that. Okay.
There is not just a single way to have a body and take care of it perfectly. There just isn't.
That's true. That's true. But there's also a lot of ways to not take care of your body or to destroy your body as well. It can work in the reverse. And staying super morbidly obese is a way that it's a way to destroy your body, essentially. It's very harmful.
There's so much more to it. Genetics, life circumstances, disability. Like, those are just three. I am not healthy.
Okay. The genetics argument in terms of supermorbid obesity is not a thing. It's a myth. Disability can make it take longer to downsize, but it's not really an excuse to be very big. Typically, any disability is made worse by being super morbidly obese. I'm sorry, it's not making sense. Life circumstances, super morbid obesity takes a lot to maintain. So, life circumstances as an excuse for super morbid obesity do not fly as somebody who was super morbidly obese for a very long time, over a decade. It doesn't fly. It takes too much to maintain it. Too much? That doesn't fly either.
By most people's standards just because I'm chronically ill.
And do you think that being super morbidly obese could be complicating whatever chronic illness you have? Because I would say it's extremely likely that it is. Do you think that that's a part of managing a chronic illness to stay that big? I don't think so.
But I can be healthy by my own standards for my body.
That doesn't mean anything. Sorry. It doesn't mean anything.
I do what I can to keep my body in a state that is attainable for me.
But could you do more? Probably. You probably could. And I think that's why you feel defensive about it. Because you know you could. I think we all know you could.
I might make another more in-depth video about that. We'll see. But what really matters is that I get happiness and love
From being fat?
from myself, from others, and letting go of diet
See,
culture
that's just about fat acceptance. It has nothing to do with the fatness itself. It's not helping you.
and accepting myself for where I am and who I am, and instead choosing to take care of myself in ways that work for me.
What does that even mean?
It allowed me to shed so much trauma and get rid of so much emotional stress.
What about the physical stress of the weight? Is it allowing you to get rid of that? Because it doesn't seem like it. Do you think that the physical stress you're putting on your body could be having an emotional impact. It's more than likely that it is, especially considering it's hormonally active. Fat is hormonally active, and at such high levels, it can honestly change your personality. If you're that big, it's a lot. It is a lot on a person. That's not as true as like a small fat person, but when you're really up there, it can do a lot to a person to be that big.
I was carrying constantly. I may deal with more bullshit from fat phobes now that I do fat liberation work, but I don't deal with
So she's kind of answering about fat liberation. She's not answering about fatness still.
it from myself and my family and the people close to me. I am finally at peace with myself.
It's still just about fat acceptance. It's not about the weight itself. Is the weight giving you peace? I highly doubt it.
And that's beautiful. And you could feel this way too, as the
Now we're going into the pseudo spiritual.
lovely seasonal
It's like almost like an evangelical moment there. It's interesting.
song says, war is over if you want it.
She's trying
I
to
know you're
evangelize the faith of fat acceptance. That's a trip. So let me know what you guys think about this. And I want to know what you guys think about. I'm curious about your perspectives, or I just want you to think about your perspective on the subjectivity, objectivity, etc. Hey, somebody liked my video. Told you guys, I'm a spiritual girly pop on TikTok now, and I've been doing my thing over there. Let me know what you think about that. Let me know what you think about the same, with health versus beauty, like the subjectivity, objectivity. Again, I'm in the spiritual era for sure, so I view it more as like it's a part of like a collective consciousness, like an archetype in a way, or it's an ideal. The word is actually ideal. That's how I view it, but I want you guys to consider how you guys view it. I think it's an interesting question. And with that, you guys, I'm going to go. I hope you guys have a good rest of your day, night, etc. Peace.